In this lesson, we'll review Rule 520-1-.06, which covers brokerage relationships between a Georgia real estate licensee and their clients. There are many different types of relationships with different responsibilities in terms of the representation and responsibilities of the licensee. The two main types of brokerage relationships are brokerage engagements and management agreements. This section also covers community association managers' surety and insurance and the disclosure of brokerage relationship rules and requirements. Let's start with real estate brokerage engagements. In brokerage engagements, each brokerage agreement has to include the terms of the agreement and an expiration date. When the engagement is entered into, the licensee is obligated to provide original copies of the agreement to all parties involved. Net brokerage agreements give the seller a set amount of money, with the broker walking away with the rest of the proceeds. Net brokerage agreements are illegal in Georgia. Therefore, the agreement must clearly specify the broker's fees so that the client can calculate the price of the property versus the broker's fees. For example, Andrew writes a contract that guarantees seller Warren $100,000 for his property, while Andrew walks away with any amount resulting from a sale price over $100,000. However, if the home sells for less than $100,000, Drew must make up the deficit. Even if Warren is happy with this arrangement, net brokerage agreements are illegal in Georgia, and Andrew is risking his license with this rather shady deal. Next, we'll discuss real estate management agreements in Georgia. Management agreements involve licensees with property management relationships with their clients. Any written property management agreement must identify the property being managed and list the terms and conditions of the manager's responsibilities. The management agreement specifies how income is transmitted to the owner and what kind of reporting will be provided on, at least on an annual basis. Any expenses managed by the broker must be included in the agreement, including how payments are funded. For example, Owens Condos hires licensee Brooke White to manage its commercial multifamily condominium complex. The management agreement specifies that Brooke will collect the rent and manage maintenance and other costs of operations, as well as provide a profit and loss statement and cash flow statement to the owners on a quarterly basis. Brooke's other responsibilities are also detailed in the agreement. In addition, the management agreement has to include the commission the broker receives and state when it gets paid. If there are security deposits and prepaid rent associated with managing the property, the agreement should specify whether the broker or owner collects these funds. Each document must include an effective start and end date, be signed by the owner and licensee, and lay out the terms of the agreement. A legible copy of each agreement must be provided to the owner or their authorized agent when the owner signs the agreement. Next, we turn to the rules governing fidelity bonds and insurance for community association managers. Community association managers may need to obtain a fidelity bond or the appropriate insurance if they meet certain thresholds. A CAM licensee manages a community and maintains, collects, controls, or disperses funds belonging to the community association. If the amount of these transactions exceeds $60,000 at any time, a fidelity bond or insurance is required. For example, CAM licensee Brooke White collects monthly rents of $55,000 and security deposits of up to $10,000 on a monthly basis. Since this amount exceeds the $60,000 threshold, Brooke must obtain a fidelity bond and insurance. The bond or insurance has to be written by an insurance company licensed by the state of Georgia, and the coverage amount must cover the maximum amount the broker is exposed to while managing the property. Additionally, the minimum coverage must equal or exceed the total of 3 months' worth of assessments plus the reserve fund total. The insurance has to name the community association as an insured and cover the broker's partners and employees who also help manage the property. The bond or insurance must specify a 30-day notice by the insurance company before canceling or modifying the policy, except for the non-payment of the insurance premium, which only requires a 10-day notification. The final topic in this lesson discusses the disclosure of brokerage relationships. Licensees aren't allowed to buy or lease properties that are listed with the licensee or the licensee's firm. The only exception is when the licensee clearly reveals their role as buyer or tenant to the seller or landlord, respectively. Similarly, a licensee must include a clause in the contract revealing whether they are the seller or landlord to the buyer or tenant, respectively. For example, Amy is a real estate broker who lists a property for James, but later decides to purchase the property as an investment. Amy must include a clause in the contract stating that she plans to purchase the property, or she must give up her role as the listing agent. If the licensee is acting as a dual agent, the contract must disclose who is paying the licensee. This disclosure must be made no later than the first offer to sell, buy, lease, or exchange real property. Any commission paid to licensees representing other parties must be approved in writing by all parties.